Morning, everybody. Friday. It is Friday. I know you didn't see me yesterday because, like I said, nothing was given. So back today, though. Um, I had tackled this topic before, but it has gotten a whole lot more traction in the stratosphere of Earth lately, and I wanted to address it for two reasons. I do believe that the idea has infiltrated what people call the church. So that's the first reason I want to address it for that. And secondarily, to give people clarification on what exactly abortion does. So I'm going to be a little mm, graphic, frank about it. Um, and I'm going to be giving you a initial um, warning of what you will be hearing today. Um, and it is not going to be pleasant. Um, so I just want you to understand something about this, that it's a hotly contested topic simply on the idea that people want to justify the evil that it is. People want to justify the evil that abortion is. And they want to overlook it and compare it to this and compare it to the pain of the person and compare without actually talking about the gravity of the situation. Women who have gone through abortions and later live to regret it, some of them become so distraught at the idea that they end up killing themselves. There are some women that are so distraught by the idea that after they've had an abortion and have had kids that they lose all sanity and not just kill themselves, but end the lives of their children. There have been stories like that. There are some women that go so far off the deep end that they become recluses and become so self-hating that they end up becoming hoarders and live in squalor. And it's a detrimental thing to the mind of the mother, and it's a life-ending procedure for the life of the child. The unfortunate thing is that many churches, end quote, are now espousing that it is a godly thing to do. Um, I'm not even sure how they got to that point, but they did. They did. So we'll start off with a verse first, and that voice is in Psalms 139. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. And I will be touching on all the excuses that people give for it. Okay. Um, so let's start with the obvious elephant in the room. What is an abortion? An abortion is the blatant disregard for a life that is forming in a mother's womb, either because the mother or father or everyone else sees it as a difficulty. I don't care if people believe that it's for the benefit of the mother. It is always murder. Whether you believe it was from rape and you're trying to save the mother mental anguish, it will cause more. It is murder. It ends up making you very callous to the efficacy of life. It is murder. I have no other way to phrase it to you. It's murder. Now, I will also be taking sides here. Um, and what I mean by taking sides is I do believe that there is a political fight over this as well as a spiritual one. And there is a party that is 100% sold on the murder of children. There is one side, one political party that is completely built on the premise that a child's life is unwanted. You have the right to end that life and laugh about it. I know that there is one party that will happily leave a child on a table to die because they think it is okay. There is one party that encourages the act that will produce a child in order for that child to be murdered. That's just factual. That's not up for feeling. It is out of their own mouth that they are pro death. So I want to make sure that we clarify that, okay? So if you hear me referring to or listening to or showing you any political theater about it, just know that that's my stance, okay? And it's 100% provable, factual, and you'll hear it here in a second. So we'll be going back and forth between seeing some videos about this and reading some verses about it to solidify my point. And again, this is graphic, not in visual, but in statement. This is a doctor describing an abortion. And I think it is high time we stop shying away from understanding the destructive nature of it and stop trying to placate to the morons of society and the evil people of society by trying to make it just as simple as, oh, it's just choice. We need to make sure people understand the graphic nature of what the doctor does to a human being in order for that child's life to end. All because some woman preferred to lay down with a man unprotected on purpose. That's no excuse to kill somebody else. Okay, good. Want to make sure we get that out the way.
This investigation of Planned Parenthood is based on false premises, one after another after another. It's time to stop wasting time, get on with meaningful work, and stop picking on women and trying to take their choice away.
Now, as I said, there are some people who are clinically mentally ill. This is one of those people who is clinically mentally ill and is all for the destruction of family. He's all for the destruction of little people, children. He has no problem with them dying, none at all. He is just like the rest of the people that he is also in cahoots with that have no problem with women killing their unborn children. They have no issue with that. And in fact, they will rile against anyone talking about it. They will be very upset when you try to get to the bottom of why this is being pushed as a health care choice. And I'm still confused as to how another person's body becomes your body and your choice. I'm still confused about that. But let's continue.
I yield back the balance of my time.
The time of the gentleman has expired. We welcome our distinguished witnesses today. Do you and each of you swear that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And I'll now begin by introducing today's witnesses. The first witness is Dr. Anthony Levatino. Dr. Levatino is a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist Over the course of his career, Dr. Levatino has practiced obstetrics and gynecology in both private and university settings, including as an associate professor of OBGYN at the Albany Medical College. And Dr. Levatino, we'll begin with you. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to get right to it. Second trimester D&E abortions performed between roughly 14 and 24 weeks of gestation. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks. She's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a Sofer clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and 1/2 inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you, and use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart and lungs. Head in the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you could pull out skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times. Sometimes a little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
Oh, sorry, my bad. He had to be nonchalant about it. He is no longer pro-abortion. He said so in the hearing. He's not that way anymore, and he came forward to talk about it. And just like what we need to do is he had to be frank. He had to be absolutely stoic in his delivery, because you cannot give ground to these people and not have them understand how vile it is. You cannot speak to them and give them any, and I mean any ground to throw emotionality in there. It has to be so direct that they have no other option but to look at it for what it is. We have put people to death for less vile things than that. Nation states have gone to war. Head dictators have been decapitated, burned at the stake, jailed for life, stoned, firing squads for less than that. Men have been put in prison for life for less than that. They've faced a chair for less than that. They've been hung for less than that. And here you have two participants, one willingly bringing the child to the murderer for the murderer to watch, kill the child, and have the mother acknowledge that the child is dead. And both leave unscathed, untouched, unpunished. I had to have you hear that And for those of anyone else coming in late, I have to have you hear that. Because when you hear people defending abortion, just know that that's what they're defending. There are other ways, of course, they can kill the child, and one is with a saline solution that burns the child alive like acid. And at one point, the woman has to pass that child. Now, imagine that they've given the right to women to abort, kill, murder this baby after it's born. Like you withdraw the child, leave them. Now here's the more inhumane, disgusting, vile, and evil things that they can do. They pull the child live out, leave it. The first thing a child looks for is its mother when the child is born. The most soothing thing, because it is a shocking moment for a child to move from amniotic fluid into breathing air for the first time. And the one comforting factor in their escape from the womb to the outside world is mother. Mother's voice, mother's scent, mother's entire being is still connected to that child. And you have now pulled that child from that location and set it on a cold table away from comfort, away from life, and allow it to die. Because I want to have you hear this. I want to have you hear this for those who may come in later. Oh, and secondarily, I will be calling people names too. Just know that you will be called names here today. I'm going to call you what you are, and if you don't like it, then that's too bad for you. I want people to be clear. The things that you do will be called a name, and if that means that you're a murderer, that's what you are. That's what I'm going to call you. Especially if you have not turned from that behavior and you approve of it. I'll be calling you what you are. I know there might be women watching who have had one. I'm not shaming you for having one, especially if you're in a position now where you've recognized the error of your way. I have family who are former to that mindset, and I've had them, and they now abhor it. And they've since come to a deeper knowledge of who God is. So they're no longer murderers, they're saved. But let's just be honest about something. The majority of people who still believe that abortion is healthcare are murderers. They're murderers. Okay. And for those of you who think it's not happening or it's not being spoken of to happen, use your ears for a change.
So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion.
I want you to understand what he just said. And he said it pretty confidently and so slick. He said they would have the child be delivered. And they were asking him about after birth abortions, right? Or as some would say, late term, up to date of birth, after birth abortion. The baby would be delivered, kept comfortable, resuscitated if that's what they wanted, and then have a discussion about whether or not the child lives or dies. You resuscitate the child to be alive, then you have a discussion, then let it die. I do believe that Moloch has upgraded his tactics. I mean, burning the baby is one thing. Yeah. Okay. But they have found brand new ways to be vile. They have found brand new ways for them to be vile. I'll let him continue, though.
One more question, Dr. Levatino. Why did you end your practice of doing abortions?
I did over 1,200 abortions over a 4-year period in private practice, not counting the ones that I did during my training. I met my wife during my first year of training at Albany Medical Center. We got married about a year later and found that we had an infertility problem. After years of failed infertility treatment and several years trying to adopt a child, we were blessed with adopting a little girl that we named Heather in August of 1978. As sometimes happens in those situations, my wife got pregnant the very next month, and we had 2 children 10 months apart. 2 months short of my daughter Heather's 6th birthday, she was killed in an auto accident and literally died in her arms in the back of an ambulance. Anyone who has children might think they have some idea of what that feels like, but unless you've been through it yourself, you have no idea whatsoever. I know people find it hard to believe, but what do you do after disaster? You bury your child and then you go back to your life. And I don't remember exactly how long it was after my daughter died that I showed up at Albany Medical Center OR number 9 to perform my first second trimester D&E abortion. I wasn't thinking of it as anything special. This was routine to me. But I reached in, literally pulled out an arm or leg and got sick. You know, earlier on, I described stacking up body parts on the side of the table. It's not to, gross people out, to use a simple term. When you do an abortion, you need to keep inventory. You have to make sure you get 2 arms and 2 legs and all the pieces. If you don't, your patient's going to come back infected, bleeding, or dead. So I soldiered on and finished that abortion. And I know it sounds, as I said, hard for people to believe, but I'm telling you straight up my experience. You know, after over 1,200 abortions, first and second trimester up to 24 weeks and all the rest of it, and being very dedicated to it. For the first time in my life, I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table. And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose, and I didn't see all the money I just made. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter. And I stopped doing late-term abortions after that, and several months later stopped doing all abortions.
Sometimes he will use your own vices to get to you. He will use your own vices to get to you. And I want Stacy, understand, I'm not coming at you, but I'm going to give you an example from my life. Okay. Yes, that is what he's saying. If his daughter hadn't died, he would not have been sobered up to the reality of life. Yes. You see, sometimes you have to have something personally happen to you for you to make it your worldview. Something has to hit home. Something has to hit home. The same way that David was not going to confess anything about what he did to to Uriah. He wasn't going to confess that until God made it personal. God made it personal to him. I'm going to take your child. For me, I was in the throes of my addiction, and it took almost losing the person I was charged with protecting because of my issue to have me see my issue. I had to be cursed with the view of who I was through someone else's eyes to see what my sin was doing to someone else for me to wake up. I had to have that happen. God allowed for that to happen in order to get through to me. I would not have seen my sin the right way if it had not become personal. So while you might be seeing it as he is sick for having not wanting to stop, possibly look at it this way: his eyes were opened because of his loss. You see, most women who go through these abortion things have no clue what it's like to have a kid. They have no clue. Most of them don't have a clue. They don't realize the blessing of children because they're selfish. They're selfish. This man at least got a sobering moment. He got a sobering moment for once in his life, and it hit home so hard that he dropped it right then and there. Business didn't care. Losing money didn't care. He realized this was a loss of life, and he was responsible for it. So yeah, he is saying if his daughter didn't die, he'd still be doing it. And God said, I don't want you doing that no more. So I have to make this personal to you. I will allow this to get through to you. I have to let you understand what you're actually doing. It even says it that sin has to become utterly sinful to us, right? The book says so. And we can't know that until law kicks in. The law is there to make sin utterly sinful. Okay? That's what the book says. Sin has to become so disgusting to us that we no longer want to pursue it. And the only way to do that is to be presented with the law and the perfection of it, and realize by measure we cannot come close to it. And if you cannot come close to it, then your sin will become utterly deplorable to you. So sometimes, yes, he will allow many things to happen in order for us to get the memo. Many of us don't want sin to be utterly sinful. We'll pass it off. And abortion is utterly sinful. But to his credit, he didn't just hear, see, feel, and continue. He heard, saw, felt, and stopped. So I commend him on that for listening. I do. I think too many, though, don't get the point. I'm not saying you don't. Okay.
Thank you.
And this is what we're aborting. This. You see, we have to make this thing utterly vile. We have to present it for what it is. The devil will present something to you that's evil to make it look really good. Really good. And he won't tell you about the consequences of it. He will not tell you the consequences. And so without the consequence, you see it as choice. And that's how he's presenting it. I have the choice to. However, if someone were to get a sofa clamp and start clamping down on their thigh before they have the abortion to let them see what it's like, all of a sudden choice goes out the window. No, let me live. Stop pulling on that. That hurts. And the person pulling on their leg, all of a sudden now it becomes murder. But when the baby gets it done to them, it's choice. If I were to pour a burning acid on someone's skin to melt them away, I'd be charged in the most horrific way for murder. When you do it to a child, it's choice. If someone were to get an industrial strength, or better yet, put me in front of a plane engine and threw me into the plane engine, it would be murder. Get a suction and siphon a baby out of the womb, that's choice. If I were to go to a home and dissect a human being, chop them up, and toss them in a bin, it would be murder, and I would get life if not the chair. Do it to a baby, it's choice. That's an amazing stretch, if you ask me. Quite the amazing stretch. Psalm 6. These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift to running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among the brethren. Now, I want you to understand something here. They're an abomination. They keep saying that the child can grow up to be this and they grow up to be that because of something the father did to a mother, either by incest or rape. And I have yet to have a question answered when I ask it, what did the child do? The child is the innocent party as well as the mom in this. But yet still the child pays for the transgression of the rapist. The child's life is snuffed out, but not the person perpetrating the evil. They will get maybe a few years or probation. The baby, however, who did nothing, is simply a blank canvas to love and to outdo what the father may have done. They're put to death. They are the ones that put to death, the innocent one. That would be akin to having drive down the street, me killing somebody in a car, right? And instead of putting me to death, the person that's in the car with the person that lived, they get put to death too. That's the logic behind abortion. And now we get to the crux of the straight talk approach to this. We get to the so-called preacher's approach. Okay. This was in the news, by the way.
Some North Texas pastors say the state's new abortion laws are infringing on their rights to exercise religion freely, and they say they may file suit against the state as a result. Jack Fink spoke with one pastor who is speaking out. Talk to us about her biggest concern.
Well, Doug, the pastor tells me her biggest concern is state laws won't allow her to counsel women who are seeking guidance on abortion.
I want you to understand carefully what they're saying, okay? As you can see, the first problem is that it's a female pastor. That's the first problem, but we'll let that one slide for just a second. That the state abortion laws will help her not be able to counsel properly people who are thinking about getting an abortion. Okay.
I'm not scared.
Well, there's
but
your answer right there as to why she's okay with the abortion thing, because she doesn't follow the Bible. You in your church have every bit of the abominable flag possible in every corner of your church. You vile, stinking, evil woman, you. You disgusting heretic, you. That's what I'm going to call you. You're not a believer. You're not a Christian. You're a daughter of Satan, is what you are. You're a devil worshiper because you worship murder. And trust and believe me, until you turn, your punishment will be exponential. But since that's what you want, have at it. You're disgusting. And women like you are equally disgusting. Women like you are the most vile, nasty, vitriolic, most disgusting human beings on planet Earth. Nasty to the core, disgusting in your very nature and make. All of you are an abomination to God. Every last one of you that think and believe and push this nonsense. You will be held to such high punishment that it will be worse for you than any other sinner on earth when they die. There is no middle ground with people like you. There is none. Because you're using the name of God to do the exact opposite of what God wants.
I am fearful that prosecution is possible.
Reverend Rachel Bachman, senior pastor at Oak Lawn United Methodist Church in Dallas, and 3 other area pastors sent Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton this warning letter that they may file a lawsuit in 60 days, saying, quote, "The criminalization of abortion medical procedures substantially burdens the free exercise of these religious beliefs by preventing access to such care in most circumstances." She says their church doesn't condone using abortion as a means of birth control or late-term abortions, except when the mother's life is in danger or cases of severe fetal abnormalities incompatible with life.
This is a matter of considering life versus life decisions for women.
Under House Bill 1280.
Do you see how they phrase it, right? Do you see how the devil has made it able to make women believe it's a good thing? Do you see how they did it? They give you the most extreme, so they won't tell you that what we're okay with the most extreme. They won't tell you that. No. What they'd rather do is try to make the most extreme say, let it stay most extreme. Well, we're not promoting that, of course not. But this is a matter of life versus life. I mean, don't you care about the women? Don't you care about the women's life and how they live? And we're not saying to use abortion for child. We're not going to do that. No. That's not us. But think about the woman. It's kind of weird that they can do that. They use the option. They say not using it as an option, but they are using it as an option. Then they say, oh, it's only if the life of the mother is in danger. So let me ask a question of that woman. Of course, she'll never answer, but here's a question I would have for her. How many women are you going to counsel? Listen to me. How many women are you going to counsel on that? How do you know that she's going to go through that? That you have to counsel her on it. Remember, that's what you're saying. You wouldn't be able to counsel the women on it. So what exactly are you counseling them on? Just in case you're on the table and you're about to die, it'd be really nice to have the option to kill the kid instead, wouldn't it? Well, the child's healthy right now. I just don't think I want the child. Well, that's entirely up to you. That's a choice you need to make, and God's okay with your choice making because this is about your contentment and happiness.
Most abortions are banned with the only exception to save the mother's life. Doctors performing them could face felony charges, life in prison, and lose their licenses.
I fully 1 billion% agree with that. Yes, it's murder. How are you going to keep your license when you're murdering? Hitler didn't do as much. Hitler didn't kill nearly as many people as some of these abortion doctors have. The abortion industry would be the leading genocidal regime ever to grace Earth if they were to count bodies. Of just black babies alone, they would be ranking way above every dictator to ever grace Earth. And that's up to and including every pharaoh, every kingpin, every dictator under any regime. They would outdone them by millions. Hear me again. If we were to rank genocidal regimes throughout all humankind history, the abortion regime would have owned and be named for more lives than every single human being killing someone combined. Combined. Yet they're not held to any standard of punishment. Do you realize that's almost 15 times the global population we're talking about? Over time, that many abortions have been done. Do you realize that? Of one race, since 64 to 2019, that was 20 million dead. 20 million between 64 and 2019. 20 million. Not to mention any time prior to and at the time Moloch was being celebrated out publicly under his name. Mind you, that's just the United States. Let me say that again. That 20 million number is the United States alone. 20 million. Now you calculate that across the globe. You understand now the gravity of what this is. This is insane to me. If I were to just take half of the amount and attribute it to every country, it would easily eclipse every death by the hand of any dictator or evil regime. Like that. It would be like stacking books to your ceiling to represent abortion and stacking books to your kneecap for all of the murders. That'd be the equivalent right there. That would be the equivalent.
Under Senate Bill 8, people can face lawsuits for aiding and abetting a woman for having the procedure.
Under SB 8, I could be civilly prosecuted for counseling and recommending appropriate actions where it is appropriate.
But you're not a doctor, though, are you? No, you're a pastor. How would you know what is the appropriate action for that mother to take? Please tell me. How? How would you, in your ignorant state of mind, be able to tell a mother what is appropriate healthcare-wise for her? It tells me right off the bat that you do not care about the health. You are a murderer from the day you were born till now. Murder is all you have on your stinking, dirty, disgusting mind. That is all you think about, is the best way to murder children. That's what you do. And you put it under the guise of God, and you preach about it, which makes you twice as vile. That makes you twice as evil. You ain't no doctor. You have no medical license. No history of that, but you gonna counsel women on what to do with a baby? I thought at the beginning when they were describing you, you said, well, you know, we're not for the late term, and we're not for, it's only for the life of the mother. Oh, I get what you mean by the life of the mother. If her lifestyle is in danger, huh? She can't bang Tom, Dick, and Harry every weekend because she's having a baby. Well, just kill the baby. You can still go on banging. And we'll still take you at this church because we're all about the homosexual and lesbian and everything kind of lifestyle. It's all good. Heck, you could come to church and have sex in the back row if you want. We're not going to bat an eye about it. Not a single eye. You know why? Because God loves you as you are.
Women to pursue an abortion.
Based on the broad wording of the statute and the escalated political climate that we live in, there is a risk there.
We asked the author of House Bill 1280 about this, and he says the laws are focused on abortion providers.
And the criminal act would be the performing of an abortion that's not medically necessary.
And so counseling would be okay under the law.
In my opinion, counseling, so long as it held to their sincerely religious beliefs, it would be a defense.
It's important that those who can speak up do in order to protect the rights of others.
She and the other pastors want the state to exempt them from the laws. They haven't heard back from the Attorney General's office, and neither have we. Doug?
Jack Fink, thank you very much.
You know, I am convinced that people like that have forever ago abandoned all semblance of moral compassing. Do you know if there's any exception to having the right to kill somebody else that you don't want around? Does anybody else know whether or not does anybody have a right to do that? Only women have the right to murder a child. Men don't have the right to murder their wife if they're taking too much money out their pockets and destroying their homes, huh? No, that's murder. That is plain up, straight up, unequivocated murder. If I'm taking care of my husband, my wife, and I just sit there and I'm paying for everything and I feed them and they're becoming a burden to me, I could just kill them, right? I mean, I don't want to have to deal with that. Well, you can divorce her. Well, you can have the kid, but I want her dead, because you know what she could do later is come back and ask for more money and she could take half my stuff. I don't want to do with all that. I'm going to just end her. It's my choice. My choice is not to have to deal with that woman taking all my money. Just stop paying. I know I could do that. Yeah, but no, I'm just going to kill her. That's what I'll do. I'll just kill her. But sir, that's illegal. What? Why? What happened to choice? I thought this whole thing was about freedom of choice. Yeah, but you're making a choice about somebody else's life. Oh, somebody else's life. But I'm their lifeline. I'm the one taking care of them. They're leeching off of me. So I have the right to just end them. That's right. So they're a useless couple of cells to me. They're not pulling their weight. They're not doing anything. They're just there. I should be able to just end them. Or I'm taking care of my mom or my dad and they're sickly and they're bedridden. And I got to be dumping all my money into them and no home's going to take them. My life is in danger because I can't go do what I want to do. I can't work as often, so I'm not making as much money. I'm starving because of this thing. I can't be doing. I have to kill him. All right, just kill him. Why not? It's just a clump of cells.
And I walked in the door and my child ran to greet me, putting her arms around me, which is just the best feeling in the world. I thank God for Mother's Day.
Now, mind you, she just said all that. The best feeling in the world is to have your child run up to you and give you a hug. Keep that in your mind. The reason I want you to keep that in your mind is her knowing that, and is going to say what she's about to say.
Celebrate that. But anyway, she put her arms around me. But see, I wasn't home after school like I normally am. So she was wondering, where were you, Mama? She asked. And then it occurred to me, how do I explain this situation to a young child?
Mind you, this is the overturning of Roe v. Wade she's talking about. Just FYI, if you're wondering what she has to talk to her girl about, who never asked her about it at all, she is going to tell the child now about Roe v. Wade being overturned.
I said, well, we got some rough news out of the Supreme Court. What was it, Mama? I sighed. What to say? Well, some people want to tell us what to do with our bodies, and they don't have our best interests at heart. With our bodies? She replied. Yes, my love, I answered, with our bodies. Well, why would they want to do that? She rightfully asked. They just don't want us to be free, I
They just don't want us to be free. You want to know how indoctrination sounds? Like this trash bag right here. And that, like I told you, I'm calling folks names today. If you don't like it, ain't my problem, sucker. Take it up with somebody else, but ain't gonna be me today. Now I'm calling them what they are: human trash bags, fly-ridden, maggot-filled trash bags. I'm gonna call you what you are. You're a tramp. You have the nerve to be happy with your child while advising other women to kill theirs. You have to be a different type of disgusting human being to do that kind of crap and smile about it up there. You have to be on a different level of disgusting. You have yours. Then you tell your kid, a daughter, that they're trying to take away your right to murder your own grandchild.
explained. Now, that explanation wasn't unfamiliar to her because she's a Black girl in America. We learned this early.
5 justices, 4 of them men, appointed by presidents who lost the popular vote, will control the rights of over 30 million people and their health care in America. It's the first time since the post-Reconstruction era that this kind of rights for so many people has been rolled back in our country.
The right to murder. Mind you, these are preachers. What you heard before, that doctor, not a preacher, not a pastor, not a pulpit, anything, just a dude who saw the reality of the vileness of abortions and stopped. Meanwhile, you have people who have never witnessed it pushing other women to do it. And they say they're speaking on behalf of God.
colleague of mine was jubilant and happy and praised that this would be the end of the murder of children and that she, as a Catholic, would never rest till abortion is abolished. There was nothing I can do or say to convince her of the damage that that position has on so many of our brothers and sisters.
One more buffet of.
So you're trying to convince me that because a person has a viewpoint that is vile and evil, that has a direct negative effect on your congregation. Wow.
Violence to kind of throw us for a loop. And I say violence because legally obligating people to carry a pregnancy to birth, no matter what, can be deadly.
Sometimes the same.
Oh, it can be deadly for the mom, right? But it's always deadly for the kid. It's weird. The child always dies in this scenario. You're also worried about life that you're willing to kill the child 100% of the time for your comfort. Amazing.
Folks who refuse to wear a mask, citing bodily autonomy, have no problem telling you what you can do with your uterus.
Now, no, we do tell you what you can do with your uterus, and you can also decide what to do with your uterus. It's the thing that's housed inside of her womb that we're talking about. You could go right now, if you don't want a kid, go ahead and remove your womb. If you don't want a kid, go have the surgery and yank that womb right out of there. You never have a period and you don't got to worry about being pregnant. That way you don't have to murder nobody. Why keep your womb? You're not using it for nothing. It's just there, right? Your body, that is actually your body. That part is your body. So take it out. Remove your womb. Pour acid up in that womb and then let that burn out so it can't have a child. You won't do that to yourself. No, you'll do it to somebody else's body and claim that it's your choice. You're not going to harm your actual body by removing your womb. No, you ain't going to stitch up your hole either. No, you would much rather murder another human being because you're promiscuous and a whore. That's what you want me to just say. Yeah, okay. Go ahead and whore around all you want. That's not a problem. And if you do get pregnant, go ahead and murder the child that comes from it. No problem there. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Someone who does not possess a uterus, I do not have a right to an opinion when it comes to what those who do have a uterus choose to do with their bodies.
Yet still you're up there giving your opinion. You closeted homosexual. You're up there giving your opinion while saying you're not going to give your opinion. How many men do you hand your wife over to every day? How many? Because you sure do give me the vibe that you're a cuck. You give that vibe off that you are a man that will share your wife with other men because she's dissatisfied with you. That's what you look like. And you have to think like that. You know why? Because of how you think about children. Again, if y'all got upset with what I was saying, I don't care. Take your views somewhere else. It won't be here, and I will be very happy to be rid of you. If you are somebody out there that believes in abortion, please do not come to this channel. I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want to speak with you. I'm not even trying to reason with you. You're a murderous individual, and I want nothing to do with you. I really don't. I want nothing to do with you. If you could listen to what the doctor said and still hold on to abortion being okay, yeah, we can't agree. Nope, we will never see eye to eye. You're going to have to change your viewpoint in order for us to talk. We ain't talking. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. There's no debate, no discussion. No, you're a murderous individual. And you're on track for hell. And I'm not holding your hand going there. Be mad, stay mad, and fester. I don't care.
However, as someone who claims to follow Jesus, I have been commanded to speak truth to power, especially when it comes to the rights of others being threatened.
That's nowhere in the book, at all.
Double speak of a culture that offers flowers and cards and balloons to celebrate motherhood while simultaneously shaming and distrusting and coercing mothers' bodies.
You're not a mother if you killed a child, right? How? Okay, let me ask you a question. You said it's a clump of cells, right? How are you a mother? A mother to what? Let me get this right. Hold on. I want to run this down. You said something very interesting. I thought you said, hear me out. I thought you said that it's a clump of cells. You're a mother to a clump of cells? In order to be a mother, you know what you have to have? Children. So if you're telling me that a mother makes the choice to have an abortion you are saying, you can say it out loud. What? You're telling people that they're murdering children. It's not a bunch of cells now, is it? It's weird that you want to get the emotionality of mothers in there, while at the same time trying to tell me they're not mothers because it's only a clump of cells. And you don't want to be a mother, so you get rid of something. So I'm confused, little lady. How is it that you can conflate the two and say that their mothers trying to make a choice when by the very definition of what you're saying, they ain't mothers yet? Or are they fully aware that they're mothers because they have the child going with them? So you do murder a child. You are murdering. Interesting.
Jarring for me anyway.
A minority of some 25 to 30% of the population will have finally succeeded in their long sought after goal of imposing their own theological beliefs on when human person begins on the majority who legitimately feel differently.
Personally choosing not to have an abortion or use birth control is religious freedom. Making that choice for someone else on the basis of one's own religious principles is religious persecution.
Except that it's not our decision. That would be God's. So I guess partially you're right, because it is religion. I'll give you that much. You did speak some truth. Here's the truth. Religion does that. But I'm not gauging my viewpoint about abortion from religion. I'm basing the viewpoint of abortion from God's perspective, not religion, definitely not from the social aspect of it. It is the taking of innocent blood, which makes it an abomination to God. You see how that is? Do you see how that is? I want to make one other thing abundantly clear before we continue what they're saying. For those who come later and ask, what exactly is innocent blood? Let me explain it to you. There are two levels of guilty in humankind life. Okay, you ready for this? The two levels of guilty. There is guilt towards man and guilt towards God. Okay? There is one that you're born directly into that you, by yourself, cannot evade punishment for, and that is guilt before God. Okay? Before the age of reasoning, however, guilt before man is only things that you can stop. Abiding by the law, obeying parents, that kind of stuff is guilt before man. The guilt before God is your sin nature. That you can't get rid of until he steps in. Innocent blood in this case is hands that are swift to shed blood, which means what? You are the one that are doing something wrong. That is what he meant by innocent blood. Hands shedding it. That would mean every woman out there who willy-nilly murders children shed innocent blood, and you're an abomination to God until you are buried in Christ. But until that, you will be buried. Trust me, you don't want that, bro. You don't want that. We'll listen to a few more of them before I end.
We pray for women across America after the leak of the decision and the break in the trust of the Supreme Court.
I'm a Bible-believing Christian. Scripture, you may know, has nothing to say about abortion unless you consider that weird prescription for abortion in Numbers chapter 5. I don't recommend it. The Bible has a way of declaring when life starts, and the Bible declares life to begin at the first breath that we take. Whether you agree
That's not what it says at all, anywhere in the book, nowhere. Not a single spot in the Bible that says life begins at your first breath. Not a single location. Otherwise, it would never have the story of John and Jesus in the womb leaping. It also wouldn't have the story of Jacob and Esau being mobile enough to grab each other's heels and pull somebody down to push their hand out. That too would be impossible because they had not taken breath yet, you old bat. But of course, to push your narrative, you feeble old codger, this is what you do, right? You manipulate people by saying it doesn't say it, but. So let's do this. Let's do this to end. I want to show this real quick. All right, we're going to talk about this Numbers 5 position real quick. Concerning unfaithful wives. Now, of course, before we start any of this, you have to understand one very important thing. Everything given to the children of Israel was to show them how utterly sinful they were before God and how gracious he was towards them. Okay, I want you to understand that first. So here we go. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, if any man's wife goes astray and behaves unfaithful toward him, and a man lies with her carnally, and it is hidden from the eyes of her husband, and is concealed that she has defiled herself, and there is no witness against her, nor was she caught, if the spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he becomes jealous of his wife, meaning what? He sees some signs. Something tells him something ain't right. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. You've been acting weird. Something about you has changed. There is concern now with the behavior that I'm seeing that tells me something might be going on. And he becomes jealous of a wife who has defiled herself, or if the spirit of jealousy comes upon him and he becomes jealous of his wife, although she has not defiled herself, then the man shall bring his wife to the priest. This is the context. Good. Notice in the context, there is no statement of her being pregnant. You realize that, right? There's no statement of it being anything to do with the child so far, right? Good, perfect. The whole context is a cheating, unfaithful wife or a husband thinking that she is unfaithful. Good. He shall bring the offering required for her, 1/10 of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil on it and put no frankincense on it, because it is a grain offering of jealousy, an offering for remembering, for bringing iniquity to remembrance. And the priest shall bring her near and set her before the Lord. The priest shall take holy water in the earthen vessel and take some of the dust that is on the floor of the tabernacle and put it in the water. Then the priest shall stand before the Lord, uncover the woman's head, and pour the offering of remembering in her hands, which is the grain offering of jealousy. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that brings a curse, the dust and the holy water. And the priest shall put her under oath and say to the woman, if no man has lain with you, and if you have not gone astray to uncleanness while under your husband's authority, be free from this bitter water that brings a curse. But if you have gone astray while under your husband's authority, and if you have defiled yourself and some other man than your husband has lain with you, then the priest shall put the woman under oath of the curse, and he shall say to the woman, the Lord make you a curse and an oath among your people, when the Lord makes your thigh rot and your belly swell. And may this water causes the curse to go into your stomach and make your belly swell and your thigh rot. And the woman shall say, amen, so be it. Where in that do you see abortion? If anything, it says something about making her barren. And it is about unfaithfulness. So you see, the problem is indeed reading, which is why I keep telling you to read. Because if you don't read it, men can lie to you with ease, and they make it sound very sweet, very believable, truthful, honest. It makes it sound a whole lot like that. This is where the church is starting to lead women and thinking this is all about us being accepting of women's choice. The last woman to choose got us in this mess. The last time we let a woman choose, you see what she did? I'm going to choose this fruit. And the last time she suckered a man into believing what she believed, here we are. Here we are. Man gave up their authority to women, kind of like how they're giving it out. You don't tell the woman what to do with her body. It's her choice. Her body, her choice. I probably want Adam sounded like, it's okay, dear. You can eat the fruit. It's just the fruit. But didn't God say, don't worry about what God said. The fruit it does look good now. You ate it, y'all eat some too. Y'all can call me sexist if you want, misogynist, don't care. I'll own that with pride. I'll own that. The fact is, the Bible said that Eve sinned first, then Adam. Don't leave that decision up to women. They're murdering children by the millions and billions. You don't hate me. God said so, not me. You got a problem with God, not with me. You just don't like God. Just admit that. You hate what God says. That's on you, not on me. I'm repeating what he say. To all the women that have had abortions, and your sense of guilt is off the charts, turn to God. There is forgiveness there. There is a clean slate there. There is new life there. But if you want to hold on to the stuff that you did and want to keep that as your lifestyle, do not expect when you die to have it easy. To the men out there who have lost children because your girl murdered that child, I'm sorry. To the men out there who have pushed their women to have an abortion, you are disgusting. You are absolute nasty trash for that. You are murderous. For the women who do it just because, you're a whore. Just want you to know what you are. A whore is a person that gives up their body for sex willy-nilly. That's what that makes you. And you're a whorish murderer to begin with, because you then murder the offspring that you don't want so you can continue your whoring ways. Y'all can get mad if you want, but that's what a whore is. That's what a whore does. And if you do that as a woman, then you are akin to, if not full, a whore. The prostitute gets paid. You might be that too. I don't know how else you want me to say it. I know we like big words like promiscuous. No, you a hoe. You a hoe. A whole whore is what you are. Men do it, they're whores too. There's no difference. But we're not talking about men right now. We're talking about women. Like it or hate it. I know they're going to plenty of thumbs down on this one, because they're going to see a whole bunch of these feminists show up. And they're male feminists too, by the way. And they call them gay, just so you know. A male feminist is nothing short of a homosexual. There is no such thing as a straight male feminist. A male feminist is a homosexual. That too is an abomination, just so you know as well. Ain't much I can do about that, bro. It's not me saying that. God said it. I'm just repeating what he say. I'm telling you what you are by the context of the book. And if you don't like that, then take it up with God, not with me. Because I'm not changing my mind because he hasn't changed his mind either. Y'all might not like the delivery, but ain't nobody else want to be frank with you. That's on them. I'll be frank with you. Woman going out there and just opening her leg for any old body and just thinking that abortion is a birth control, you're a whore. Any man that goes and knocks up any woman for any reason and asks her to kill the baby is a murderous whore. Both of y'all are cut from the same cloth, and you're going to end up in the same place. That's not me saying so. That's what the book say. But there is grace for you. But if you don't want it, that's on you as well. That's on you as well. There is mad grace, mad forgiveness, mad mercy for you. You have to take it. You know that choice idea that you like so much? Execute your choice and choose that. You won't, though. You won't. You won't. I wish you would, but you probably won't. Because it says also in the book that in the last days, men will make sure they give in to that. They will choose their way over his. Lovers of self, haters of the truth. So am I expecting you to change? No. Am I hoping for you to? Yes. But I ain't expecting nothing out of y'all. No, nope. I believe there are more people that are handed over than there are people who are yet to pick. I do. I believe there are tons of people who have been handed over by God. They're gone. They have gone to the point where they do not want to come back. They are with a reprobate mind at this point, and that is what he's done. He's handed them over to a reprobate mind. I believe wholeheartedly that there are more people like that than there are who are on the straight and narrow and walking or wanting to. If it were not so, he wouldn't say that the path is narrow and very few find it. You see, the odd thing is, Brenda, I'm going to say this really quick here. The odd thing is they don't yet realize that when they're in the confines of marriage, it is a wonderful thing. It is. You get to know that person 100%, know exactly what they like and don't like. They get to know what you like and don't like. It becomes mutual. They prefer having to learn somebody new for 5 minutes. That's like goldfish mentality. Swim to one end of the bowl, turn around, new territory. Swim to one end of the bowl, turn around, new territory. But to each his own, I guess, right? You each got a choice to make. However, if you choose wrong, it's on you. It is on you. I had to address this. I had no choice but to address this. Because I think it's high time we stop looking at this through the social eyes that man wants you to, and look at this for what it really is in all its disgusting nature, which is murder, straight up, unequivocal murder. And the women that do it are murderers, and the men that push for it are murderers, and the doctors that perform it are murderers. Plain and simple. A heart that devises wicked plans. The plan to off a baby is a wicked plan. Hands that shed innocent blood, the taking of that baby's life by the doctor is innocent blood. In any case, Savage Patriots will be on today, 6:30. Monday, I have a guest. I have to go through yet his channel to get a feel for the individual yet, but I do want to. I have questions for him just because of what he had been saying. So join me then Monday. It's not like a popular YouTube or anything like that. Just a guy that showed up in the Too Strong chat and wanted to talk about Revelations and said he could tell everybody about what people have been learned wrong about Revelation. So let's see how true that is. Don't know how true. Just going by what he says. But I will be going through his channel to get a vibe for what I'm going to encounter. Okay. Well, Linda, you know. Yeah. The best laid plans of mice and men is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So we'll see. So we'll see you guys today at Savage Patriots at 6:30. Scrolling at the bottom, you know what to do or not to do, but you know who to talk to about it, though, right? Go to the author, talk to God, see what he wants, doesn't want. If at all anything to think about it, just talk to him. And if there's something that he does want you to help with on this platform, please feel free to do so. PayPal, Cash App at the bottom. Okay. Wisdom calls to you guys from the street. So please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself and no